Hi, and welcome to Coffee Chronicles, back with another intriguing business story for you all. Johnson & Johnson are no doubt a household name, making a wide range of products from consumer health to medical devices and pharmaceuticals. However, like many conglomerates with a colourful history, it is no stranger to controversy. One of their iconic products, Johnson's baby powder, a talc-based product, has had a long record of litigations, amounting to more than 38,000 lawsuits for cancer-causing presence of asbestos within the baby powder. Let's get into it. So, what is asbestos, and how does it link to cancer? Asbestos refers to a group of naturally occurring minerals which are comprised mainly of silicon and oxygen. Asbestos consists of a fibrous material which can be found in soil and rocks. Due to their strength and resistance to heat, as well as many other useful characteristics, they were commonly used in the past as an ideal insulating material. However, it was discovered early in the 20th century that breathing in asbestos can cause scarring of the lungs, which was particularly notable for workers with prolonged exposure to asbestos. In the 1930s, steps were starting to be taken to protect workers against this by installing ventilation and exhaust systems, and later, when asbestos was found to be linked to increased risk of lung cancer, further measures were introduced to ban the use of asbestos, including in construction materials. When did J&J receive their first lawsuit? The earliest lawsuit that we know of was in 1997 by Darlene Coker. Darlene had developed a type of cancer called mesothelioma, a rare form of cancer which has been associated with exposure to asbestos. She knew the risks of asbestos exposure, but it doesn't make sense because she never knowingly exposed herself to asbestos. So, Darlene set out looking for answers. Darlene hired a personal injury lawyer who soon suspected Johnson's baby powder as the likely culprit. Since talc, the main ingredient in baby powder, was often found together with asbestos, it's likely the case then that the talc was contaminated. Following this suspicion, she sued Johnson & Johnson. What was the response? The claim was denied. J&J claimed that the baby powder was asbestos-free, and as she had no proof, the lawsuit had to be dropped. But did J&J know at this time? From information provided by news articles in 2018, we know that at this time they did. Let's take it back to the 1950s. This was the earliest mention of asbestos by J&J. It was stated that the talc was tainted with tremolite, a type of asbestos. It was clear that J&J wanted to keep the asbestos contamination a secret. In 1973, a memo from Windsor Minerals, a subsidiary of J&J, regarding a talc study, stated, "At the present time, we can predict with a high level of certainty the specific risks involved and provide adequate defenses against these risks. We can further responsibly predict the outcome of the study, and even influence the conclusions by way of directional suggestions involving the subjective interpretations of the study groups." This was highlighted further in 1975, with a confidential memo stating, "Our current posture with respect to sponsorship of talc safety studies has been to initiate studies only as dictated by confrontation. This philosophy, so far, has allowed us to neutralize or hold in check data already generated by investigators who question the safety of talc. The principal advantage for this operating philosophy lies in the fact that we minimize the risk of possible self-generation of scientific data which may be politically or scientifically embarrassing." In addition to this, J&J was hiding from the FDA. In 1976, it was agreed by the healthcare industry that talc products should not contain detectable levels of asbestos. J&J knew that at least 3 tests had found asbestos in their talc between 1972 and 1975, with one test reporting rather high levels. However, J&J states this was for industrial use and not for its talc products. J&J's claim was eventually debunked when a 2018 lab report on Johnson's baby powder from a museum dating 1978 had found detectable amounts of asbestos. Leading up to the 2018 lab report, there were 2 interesting developments. Firstly, in 2006, Imeris, J&J's talc supplier, begins adding warning information linking ovarian cancer to genital talc use. This followed an update from the International Agency of Research on Cancer, stating that talc usage in the genital area as possible carcinogenic to humans. Secondly, in 2013, the safety statement on J&J's website was updated. Here, they no longer state that their talc-based products were always asbestos-free, but now state that our talc-based consumer products are asbestos-free, removing the word always. So, when was the data released to the public? In 2018, Reuters released a report exposing J&J company knowledge. Within this report was links to relevant documents, including reports, memos, and lab test results. What happened after the data was released? A few more cancer-related lawsuits were coming in, until the revelation in 2018. Then the floodgates opened. Since this, there has been a lot of lawsuits, more than 38,000. In 2019, the talc supplier Imerys Talc America filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection due to pressure from litigations. Imerys still denied allegations about its talc, believing the lawsuits were without merit. Additionally, a criminal investigation to investigate if J&J purposefully misled the public was launched by the US Department of Justice in July 2019. Talc-based baby powder was pulled from the US, recalling 33,000 bottles. The bottles were recalled after small amounts of asbestos was found in a bottle tested by the US Food and Drug Administration. In the following year, J&J ended talc-based baby powder sales for the US and Canada, although it was still sold internationally. This is interesting, as Johnson's baby powder only accounted for less than 1% of J&J's revenue based on the US. So why were they still selling this internationally? I believe the most logical explanation is to protect their brand. If they stop selling around the world, they may be seen as accepting something is wrong with their product. Additionally, Johnson's baby powder dates back to 1893 and had become one of its most famous products, helping Johnson & Johnson become a household name. In 2021, J&J tried to shift its talc liabilities away from its main company by creating a subsidiary. This included 38,000 pending talc cases. Later that year, it filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection on the talc subsidiary. In this bankruptcy plan, J&J proposed to provide $2 billion to compensate all current and future claimants. To put this in some perspective, J&J was valued at more than $426 billion as of February 2022. This could potentially cap the claims. However, J&J has stated that the $2 billion was a starting point rather than a cap, but only time will tell. What's happening now? In February 2022, a hearing had been held to decide if the bankruptcy should be dismissed. In this hearing, victims provided their testimony, as well as a bankruptcy expert, Sal Burian. J&J also got a chance to input. Following this hearing, US bankruptcy judge Michael Kaplan allowed Johnson & Johnson to proceed with its bankruptcy plan. The judge acknowledged that this would cause frustration, but will provide a more efficient solution for claimants. A lot of people do not agree with this decision, and appeals are likely. But only time will tell how this decision will affect the families affected by the asbestos found in Johnson & Johnson's talc-based products. In addition to this, there is an attempt to halt sales of J&J talc-based baby powder across the world in way of a shareholder vote. However, as of today, you can still buy Johnson's talc-based baby powder. I will leave you with a quote from a New York City attorney who specializes in talc litigation. When one of the richest companies on earth is allowed to shed its liabilities by throwing them into a judicially sanctioned dumpster, there can be no justice for the people they killed, or their loved ones. Thanks for reaching the end of my video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you'd like to see more similar content, be sure to subscribe to my channel.